What's going on, everybody? So I'd like to welcome you back to the classroom. I'm George Hines Jr. And like always, we got to take care of the business. I need you to go and like and subscribe to the YouTube channel, share the content, and hit that bell so that you can receive notifications when I post a new video. So we're going to jump right into this thing. There's a quote that I absolutely love. I've loved it for an extremely long time. It's by Winston Churchill. And it says, "Truth is incontrovertible. Malice may attack it, ignorance may deride it, but in the end, there it is." So today we're going to talk a little bit about logic. I love logic because if people are logical, then they're ultimately going to arrive at the truth. And I think this is one of the bigger issues in our generation today. So many people have been taught what to think, but we haven't given them the tools for how to think. So here in the classroom today, we're going to try to do that. So I'm going to define logic as this: the study of correct reasoning or good arguments. So the reason we're going to preface all of this with logic is because there's a post that I made on my Facebook recently. And it was just talking about how if you identify as gay or as trans, and that is your active lifestyle, if you practice this lifestyle, then you can't, by definition, be a Christian. And so many people were jumping on me like, well, those are not the only sins. And why are you singling these people out? And it's just like, well, wait a second. Because if you all remember, just a couple of short years ago, people who are advocates for the LGBT community, for the Black Lives Matter movement, they were doing the same thing that I'm now attempting to do. And when people approach them with the same reasoning and line of thinking that they're approaching me with, they had an issue with it. I got a video here. Let's tune in and check this out.
If you're using the All Lives Matter movement as a way to undermine Black Lives Matter, then you truly do not care about all lives.
Stop saying all lives matter, especially in response to somebody who says Black Lives Matter. We know that all lives matter. To say that Black Lives Matter is not to say that only Black Lives Matter or Black Lives Matter exclusively. It's a specific response to the way we operate in this country, the way we've worked under the assumption that all lives matter except for Black lives.
So there you have it right there in just the first two short clips. The argument they're making is because we say Black Lives Matter, it doesn't mean that we're not acknowledging or that we're not aware or knowledgeable of the fact that other lives matter also. So when I call out a specific type of sexual immorality or sexual sin, how is it that the very same logic that was used here can't be applied to me? So what you have is people who, first off, let me say this. As humans, we are all hypocritical in some area of our lives. You can't be human and not be hypocrite in some area. So we have to stop calling each other hypocrites as ways to discredit a person's mindset or thinking or standpoint. Because if that were the case, none of us would have to be able to take a stance because none of us are perfect. So we have to get rid of that thinking that unless you do everything perfectly, unless you have a PhD in a particular field, then you are unqualified to speak or talk on any topic. Because if that were the case, we could disqualify everybody and then no one will be able to correct anyone about anything. And then we just have to live a free-for-all where we couldn't say anything at all. Because that's what logic does. If everybody who speaks about anything must have a PhD, then most people wouldn't be able to speak about anything. And if the people with PhDs were found to be hypocritical in any area of their lives, then they wouldn't be able to speak about anything either, which would ultimately render every human on this planet unable to speak about anything. You see, this is the power of logic. Let's move right along.
To everyone commenting, all lives matter. You're so brave. Thank you so much for standing up for all lives. You believe that all lives matter, right? So where's your outrage for the Black lives that are taken by police brutality?
And if you do care about all lives, then there should be outcry for every oppressed and underrepresented group in this country. Where is the justice? Where is the anger for
All right, so here's the other point. She's asking, where's the justice? Where's the anger? If you're one of those all lives matter people, where's the justice? Where's the anger? So for all of you who are coming to me saying there are so many other sins that you're not addressing, okay, where are your receipts? Where's the righteous indignation for fornicators, for people who consume pornography, for preachers and teachers who cheat and abuse and rape and molest? How adamantly are you speaking out against those, amongst or against those people? If you are, that's phenomenal, and I think that you should. But I also think that if you were doing that, you would understand that what I'm speaking about is just a continuation of what you're already speaking about. But to come to me and say that, hey, you're calling this out, but that's not the only type of sexual immorality. That's not the only type of sin. And to think that I'm supposed to respond to you in a different manner than these people are responding to the All Lives Matter people, it means that you logically don't understand what's going on. And this is the beauty of patience. When you have patience, you begin to see these false doctrines fall apart. You begin to see the logic that was utilized to prove some of these pseudo points, these pseudo truths that these people are making. They're disproved just by time. If you could just be patient, I promise you, a lot of the foolishness that we are seeing is going to crumble under its own devices. Let's see.
children being killed in schools? Where's the justice for our Native American brother and sisters who are being murdered and kidnapped? Where is the upset and outcry for the amount of sex trafficking that happens in this country?
Here's why saying all lives matter is bullshit. First of all, it's completely ignoring the premise of Black Lives Matter. For example, if you ran into someone that was trying to raise awareness for breast cancer and then you said, whoa, wait, there are other types of cancers too, that is not cool. The problem is that that's beside the point. Just because they're raising funds for a specific type of cancer doesn't mean that they don't care about other types of cancer. The whole point of the Black Lives Matter movement is to bring awareness to the fact that Black people are treated systemically different than other types of races in this country.
No, sitting chilling.
Boom. And that one is particularly the one I wanted to get to. To raise awareness for Black Lives Matter is to point out that Black people in this country have been treated differently than other races in the country, right? So when someone says that breast cancer is a thing and you bring up other forms of cancer, you're discounting and dismissing their original claim. And I want to make that point evident right here. And we're using the exact same logic and the line of reasoning that these people are using against the All Lives Matter people. Just because I am speaking out against the LGBT community, or the fact that being gay and Christian and being trans and Christian is as ridiculous as thinking you can be a meat-eating vegetarian, what I'm saying is that these things just do not coincide. He's making the point here for me because he's making it clear and he's making it extremely evident that because they are making the case of Black Lives Matter, it's not saying that they're discounting anybody else or that they don't understand that other people struggle. So when I talk about sin in this regard, I'm not saying that other people do not sin. I'm simply using the same logic that was being used for Black Lives Matter. I'm focusing specifically on this type of sin because here in America today, this is the only community that has taken their perversion, built a community around it, and mass marketed it to the world. You don't see adulterers. You don't see rapists. You don't see pedophiles. You don't see misogynists. Formulating groups, coming together, having pride months, and mass marketing this and indoctrinating people. But for the LGBT community, we see it all the time. That's why I'm calling it out. Nobody else has attempted to make their perversion mainstream. And although a lot of perversions are mainstream in regards to Christianity, no adulterer is saying that, hey, I can be an adulterer, I can practice adultery, and I can still live and be in Christ. And I can be proud of my adulterous ways, and I can still be in Christ. And I'm going to promote the proudness of my adultery to the entire world, and I want them to support it. And I can be in Christ. So when you use the logic to break these things down, you start to realize that these arguments are dismantling on their own. And this is simple stuff. I'm not saying anything profound here. This is fundamental stuff. If I say Black Lives Matter and you say all lives matter, the argument is that you are insensitive to the point that I'm trying to make, because right now the focus should be on Black lives. If I say, hey, no matter what the community says, you can't be a gay Christian, you can't be a practicing trans Christian. These are not lifestyles that you can lead and be in Christ. And you come to me and say, well, what about adulterers? What about fornicators? What about these preachers who are having sex with members? And what about these preachers who are pedophiles? I say, well, that's not the focus right now. And I'm not saying that you shouldn't be outraged that that's not the focus. I'm just saying that you should at least be willing to go back and logically look at the argument that you had against the all lives people and say to yourselves, wow, he does have a point. Thank y'all for tuning in. Don't forget to subscribe, share this video, and definitely comment to let me know what you think about it. Y'all be blessed.